Hey everyone, this is Jeremy, and today we are taking a look at the Bullseye fighter from the Unmatched games. Now, Bullseye is one of the licensed Marvel characters. He is from the Hell's Kitchen set, along with Daredevil and Elektra. And I tell you, I don't know a whole lot about Bullseye myself as a character, so usually I try to say a little bit about them. You have to look this guy up on your own. They kind of did this super over sculpted musculature on him, and it's a little crazy on the mini. I don't know what I think there, but he's got the cards he's throwing here and all of that stuff. So I'm pretty much going to have to just skip talking about this guy and go straight into just looking at how he works as a fighter. Bullseye is a ranged character, and that is just putting it mildly. He has a health of 14 and a move of 2. Bullseye can attack from up to 5 spaces away, ignoring zones. Alright, so when Bullseye gets dropped onto a board, he can hit up to 5 spaces away. So, if you were over here or something, we'll just say that's a fighter there. 1, 2, 3, 4, he can get you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, from this, he can pretty much hit the whole board there. So, yeah, and of course, he still gets to hit people in his zone just like normal, and obviously adjacent and up to 5 spaces away. That is going to be quite different here, which is going to make this guy very different to play against. There's also some other stuff in his deck going on. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of that here. Okay, I'm starting with a versatile card. Why am I starting with a versatile? I don't normally do that. Well, this card does so much stuff with other cards in his deck that I decided to go ahead and just pull it out first. This is going to be arrogant but efficient. 3 copies of it. It is a versatile of 2. After combat, you are considered to have won this combat. Move Bullseye up to 2 spaces. So you get a little bit of movement on it, which can be nice to kind of move him around a little bit. And I'll go into why you would want to move him later. But it's his first half of it. You're considered to have won this combat. It doesn't look particularly like a big deal on this here. I mean, maybe if it was something where you had like a savagery thrown at you there, you'd end up winning the combat and the effect wouldn't go off. And if this was against a regroup or something, you could keep your opponent from drawing 2 cards. But there's other stuff going on with this. World's Greatest Assassin, an attack of 4, 2 copies of this. Immediately, if you already won a combat this turn, ignore the value of your opponent's card. So if you won on a previous action on this turn, you get to ignore their value and just smack them with a 4, and they take 4 damage. So yeah, if you can win the previous one, that's going to be really good. So you have to play some sort of card beforehand, do some sort of attack before that you would win, or play this guy and win that previous combat. If you can pull both of those off without getting a feint in there, that can really work well. I'm better, and I'll prove it. This has got like all the things that he can throw, kind of, there in the stripes on his outfit that he wears. Although whenever I look at it, I just like see a Ruth Bader Ginsburg thing. I don't know. Versatile 2. During combat, if you already won a combat this turn, the value of this card is 6 instead. So once again, winning beforehand, you can make this a 6. Pulling this off as a 6 defense, it means you'd have to be double attacked to win on the first one and the second one, or throw out that and do it to get the 6. But 6 is a pretty hefty defense, but it'd be a little difficult to pull that off. Probably that'll happen more as an attack. And of course, you either win by playing a card that beats your opponent on that first attack, or once again, you use arrogant but efficient. Right between the eyes, a versatile of 3. Immediately, If you already won a combat this turn, your opponent discards a card. So once again, winning combat beforehand is a very big deal. That's kind of his thing, is being able to win multiple combats in a turn. And with that, being able to attack 5 spaces away thing that Bullseye has going on, he is able to double attack a lot and get multiple attacks on a single turn there. And of course we see here with Arrogant but Efficient just lets him get the effects off on all of these. Alright, we'll go into Study the Target. This is a scheme, 2 copies, draw 2 cards. If you already won a combat this turn, draw 1 additional card and gain an action. So this is going to be good if you need to get some hand advantage that you can, if you're able to play it at the right time, get 3 cards in your hand and gain an action. This is Bullseye's only scheme, so he obviously doesn't have any passes. So this pretty much comes out like Sinbad's Riches Beyond Compare with an action gain on it, which could be pretty crazy because you get 3 cards in an action. So you could attack, win that combat, throw this out there, gain 3 cards in your hand, gain an action, and then having more cards in your hands, now you have some chances to throw some other stuff out at them. Okay, so that's all the cards that have to deal with winning a previous combat. We're now going to go to I Never Miss, which has 4 copies. Anytime that there's 4 copies in the deck, you know that they really want you to get this card. That's an attack of 3, I Never Miss. During combat, you may boost this attack. If you don't boost this attack, draw 1 card. Yeah, you're either getting a card in your hand or you're boosting this up to something else. As we can see, his boost values are generally pretty good, so he can probably really ramp those up. For my next trick, attack of 2 after combat. Move Bullseye up to 1 space. Draw 1 card. Gain 1 action. So we're seeing here that we've got a lot of card draw and a lot of like action gains going on here with this guy and not really any passes. So he is going to want to just attack a lot, and being able to attack up to 5 spaces away, he usually will be able to attack a lot. I plan to be here. An attack of 2 during combat. If you started your turn in your current space, the value of this card is 5 instead. Okay, this is like a not so momentous shift because you stay in place, so there's no momentum. It's like a unmomentous shift that staying in place ramps your card up to a different value. That is an interesting one. Worth pointing out that he has enough action gains in here that you could potentially maneuver out of a space, attack, and either with after combat movement or action gains move back to the space you started at and still ramp this up to a 5 just by going back to that. Tactical Retreat. A defensive 3. After combat, place Bullseye in a space that shares no zones with his current space. This just lets you teleport Bullseye off to some place. And we'll talk a little bit about what type of things you might want to do with that. Ricochet. 2 copies, versatile of 3. After combat, if the opposing fighter was not defeated, deal 1 damage to a fighter in the opposing fighter's zone. So, a few things to take about the way that this is worded, and let's look at this very carefully here. If the opposing fighter was not defeated, deal 1 damage to a fighter in the opposing fighter's zone. So it does not say deal 1 damage to an opposing fighter in the opposing fighter's zone, just to a fighter. So, the fighter that you attack is always in the opposing fighter's zone, so there's no damage of you throwing this back at Bullseye or to one of your teammates if you're doing a 2v2. Although if you are playing on a team with Beowulf, you could, since it doesn't say opposing fighter, you could damage a friendly fighter if you wanted to. This does a few things here. This will let you attack a hero, and then you could deal damage to one of their sidekicks. Like if they have one damage sidekicks, you could just, nuke one of those with it. You could attack the sidekick and then hit the hero with that one damage. There's a lot of different ways that could work. Just got to make sure that those fighters are in the same zone. If not, it would automatically just go back to the fighter that you targeted, since they are always going to be in the opposing fighter's zone. Master Strategist. See right here, you can tell Unmatched is superior to chess. Right here we have the evidence right there. This is a versatile of 3. After combat, move Bullseye exactly 4 spaces. He may move through opposing fighters. Now this exactly 4 spaces, the idea of this is to make him have to go to a new space after playing this one. Now that can get him out of a pin if he's in trouble, but it can also, let him, it can sometimes make you have to move when you don't necessarily want to, or it can let you get back to a better space on a map. So it can be good if you play it at the right time, and be bad if you play it wrong. And finally, Feint. Versatile of 2. We have 2 copies of Feint in his deck. 2 copies of Feint has started to become a much more common thing now. Immediately cancel all effects on your opponent's card. Bullseye is going to want to be fairly aggressive. Since he can attack from up to 5 spaces away, he's going to want to double attack a lot. And the card effects that he has, based off of winning combat previously and that turn, makes him really end up having to go out, and just makes him have to double attack a lot because of those effects. Now he can generally do that because he doesn't have to move out and risk being adjacent. He can be very long ways away. He can be completely out of the zone for ranged fighters with that 5 space away thing going on. So he can attack a ranged fighter and make that ranged fighter have to come maneuver out to him. So that's a bit nutty. And as you can see with his deck having a lot of draw and not really any passes in it, he is not meant to be an exhaustion fighter. He is going to kind of throw stuff out at you pretty fiercely there. And generally we see that there are 2 different ways to try to deal with Bullseye as an opposing fighter. One of them would be an opposing fighter could A, try to get more than 5 spaces away from him at times, and get where he can't actually get to the opponent because he's moved away, and he's going to have to maneuver once to get to him and hit him. So that's one tactic that they may try at times that can keep you from getting double attacked. The other thing that opponents may do is if they know they're just going to get double attacked, they'll just go ahead and just try to move right up to him and just stay right there by you and be like, well, if I'm going to be in your range, then I'm at least going to be adjacent to you or in your zone if you're ranged, to go ahead and make it much more difficult on you. Bullseye really doesn't want to spend a lot of time trying to run you down and fight after you or avoid you. He's going to want to just keep throwing cards at you. That's why he's designed to be able to have such a good hand advantage, so he can just kind of keep attacking at you there. And he's going to be pretty aggressive and coming out after you all the time. I think that's really how he needs to be played. And then just try to hang around, find a sweet spot on the board. I know that Baked Goods did a video about all of the maps and where Bullseye can position himself on all of the existing maps to try to get maximum range, and you can take a look at his video for that and get some idea there. But it makes Bullseye a very different character, and something a lot more unique, and something that will really make you have to change your play style fairly drastically to be able to deal with. So if you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up and a like. You can also go down into the comment section and let me know what you thought of this video down there. And you can also subscribe to my channel and take a look at everything that I have on there. Make sure that you don't miss any videos that I post. We'll see you around next time.